All right, listen, everybody in 2025 wants to be an influencer. Open up TikTok, Twitch, or YouTube, and you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. Kids nowadays aren't saying they want to be doctors or engineers anymore. That was a long time ago. They even did a survey at school and asked kids, what do you want to be if you grow up? And guess what the majority said? They all wanted to be an influencer. Now, let me save you some nasty surprise, which will be coming, which is having a personal brand will literally ruin your life. I know, it looks glamorous on the outside, money, followers, attention, but behind the scenes, almost every influencer ends up broke, burned out, or stuck in this weird hell where they can't stop posting, or their income basically goes to zero. And today I'm going to show you exactly why that happens, and at the end I'll also explain to you one way to actually do it right without considering jumping off a balcony or something. All right, now let's start with the illusion of personal brands. You see an influencer blow up, right? Millions of views, everyone talking about them. They drop some product and it sells like crazy. Now take as an example here Logan Paul with Prime, Liver King selling supplements, and Dan Lok selling high-ticket sales courses. You've probably seen these guys before, okay? For a moment, it looks like they're untouchable, but just give it some time and you start seeing the change happening. For example, if we look at Prime sales here, they're down massively. Liver King exposed as a fraud, his entire shtick basically collapsed overnight. And I don't know, take Tai Lopez or Dan Lok, once shoved down your throat all over YouTube. Now they're completely vanished. And you're probably wondering, if you're Gen Z, who are these guys? You don't even know them. But take Dan Bilzerian. You remember when his whole feed was literally women, yachts, and guns? That was the most valued lifestyle and followed lifestyle for a long time, like a few years ago. Now, this guy is a ghost. His company tanked and nobody cares anymore, and it happens every single time. Just look at every influencer you know. Why? Because the entire business was built on hype and not actual value. So this is the hype business model right here. This is how it works. You get attention first, right? It could be viral moments, fake status, algorithm boost, whatever. Then you cash out by selling some product. You drop your product, could be a course, a supplement, a skincare, whatever. People buy it not because the product is good, but because you are hot right now, you as an influencer. And as long as the hype is there, it works. But hype always fades, always. The algorithm finds a new shiny object because audiences get bored after a while. And suddenly your entire business just disappears overnight. I mean, look at Prime as an example. When Logan and KSI launched it, stores were selling out instantly. But a year later, sales dropped 90%. Because once the hype cooled down, people just realize it's just another average energy drink. There's nothing special about it. And that's the curse of building on hype instead of value. And the problem is, once your income depends on your personal brand, you can't stop anymore. If you take a break, if you stop posting, if you get sick or something, if you don't keep pushing harder and harder and to stay relevant, your money just dries up at the end. So now your freedom business is actually worse than a job. At least with a job, you get weekends and holiday days, and influencers don't get that. If you miss a week and miss a month, then the algorithm will just forget about you and the audience will move on to the next shiny object which is always there. And this is the moment where most get desperate, right? They start doing more extreme things just to hold attention. This is the rat wheel, as you can say. You post videos, you get views, you make some money, sales drop, and you have to post more videos. The algorithm basically owns you. And if you miss any week or month, you just get replaced by it. Now look at Liver King. His whole brand was eating raw liver, flexing the primal lifestyle and telling people he was so strong because of this lifestyle. It worked for a while, I'm gonna give it to him, but to keep growing, he had to get more extreme, he had to make bigger lies, crazier stunts, and until he finally got exposed. I don't know if you remember, but he was using steroids, and the second the truth came out, boom, brand was literally gone. And this happens to everyone. When the views start slowing down, The only way to survive is to get louder, and you see them doing that as well. They get crazier, more controversial, and that's when they start literally playing with fire. It's also why so many influencers end up saying this wild stuff they don't even believe in anymore, because if they don't get wilder, the audience get bored and they leave them. But you can only play that game for so long. You either burn out, or you get cancelled, or you just, at the end of the day, you look ridiculous because you're so wild. Here's the best way I can explain it. Being an influencer is like being the new dancer in this strip club, as you can say. At first, everyone is paying attention. You know, the promoter, which is, let's say, the algorithm, is pushing your face everywhere. You're hot, you're the new thing. But a year later, you're not new anymore. You know, the club wants new faces, younger, more shinier, more exciting, and so on. So to stay relevant, you have to work harder. You have to shake your ass harder, post crazier, go more extreme. But no matter what, eventually the promoter, the algorithm, will drop you and replace you with the next person in line. And that's just how algorithms works. I'm sorry. It's designed to constantly cycle through new people, which means if your entire income depends on being this hot thing right now, you're just literally screwed. And don't believe me, just look around. Dan Lok was everywhere selling high-ticket sales courses. Remember? Now this guy just vanished, you know? Jeffree Star was selling out makeup lines for 20 million when he launched, and now he's just irrelevant. And dozens of fitness YouTubers in 2029 were making fortunes on programs, supplements. But where are they now? You know, the views are dead, the product is completely forgotten, and the bigger the hype usually, the harder they crash. And the only thing that's worse than being broke is being rich for a little while and then going broke. That's what happens to these influencers. But you might be saying, Togar, what about celebrities, right? Okay, let's talk about that here for a second. The Kardashians are still rich, right? Taylor Swift is still famous, you say. Okay, yes, because they don't play the same rules as influencers. Celebrities have media contracts. They have TV networks, labels, corporations, making sure they stay in the spotlight. They can be boring for a year and still get shoved down in your face. But influencers, they don't have that. You live and die by the algorithm. If you're not hot this week, you're done. That's the difference, basically. And personally, I've seen this trap up close, so I did things differently. I didn't start out as an influencer, by the way. I built a cash flow business first. My media buying agency has been running for years. It pays me every month, it pays my team, and it doesn't live or die based on whether I post or not. Like, these are all sales that are coming in without me showing my face. And that stability is the only reason I even dared to launch DMN Academy, which is my coaching program. Because if DMN was my only income source, forget it. I would already be chained to this algorithm, desperate for views, just to pay the bills here. Instead, I treat my personal brand and my academy as leverage and not just life support like these guys. And honestly, that's the best way to do it, in my opinion, because when your bills are already covered by a cash flow positive business, you can use your brand to scale that. But the mistake most people make, they jump straight into the personal brand stuff with nothing stable behind it, which means they are already screwed before they even start. They skip all these steps, they jump straight into building a personal brand, hoping it will magically become a business overnight. And that's why they burn out. It's all hype with no foundation behind it. Instead, try to flip the order here. Build something stable first, as service, a product, a business that can stand on its own without you, then use your personal brand to pour more fuel on that fire. So your personal brand should feed into something much larger, like a business that delivers results with or without you. So the goal is to have a product or a service people would still buy even if they would never seen you on Instagram. If your personal brand is your business, then you're just a performer trapped on stage. But if your business works without you, then your brand becomes optional. It becomes this leverage and not a desperate lifeline to survive with. And that's the position you want to be in, because once you separate that attention from actual income, you stop being hostage by the algorithm, and that's when you can actually feel and get freedom. So yeah, a personal brand can ruin your life. if you build it on nothing but hype and algorithms. That's how you end up at the end broke, forgotten, and trapped in this treadmill like I showed you. So what is this smarter play? Well, learn a high remote income skill first, for example, something that pays you no matter what the algorithm is doing right now. For me, that was media buying. That's the foundation that I got freedom with and stability before I even touched my personal brand. And once you have that skill, let's say, then your personal brand actually becomes a weapon, because now you're not just posting for this clout, you're using your brand to attract clients, scale your income, and build something for the long term. And that's literally what I teach my students inside DMN Academy. First, get the skill of media buying, then the systems to turn your personal brand into leverage for that service. So the choice is simple. Do you want likes that could vanish in a year or two, or do you want a skill that pays you for the next 20, let's say? Now, if you are serious about the second option, then check out my free community and my program, which is in the description here below. For now, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.